Director of Credentialing at the ATD National with more than 15 years of experience working in the nonprofit sector. Her background in developing and maintaining certification programs includes mid to high stakes assessments, extensive work with organizing SMEs, and a thorough understanding of the certification process. And we are looking forward to benefiting from that today, Holly. Holly has an MS in organizational leadership, as well as a project management professional certification, and is a certified association executive CAE certifications. So without further ado, welcome, Holly. Take it away.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for having me. We've been doing these presentations for the different chapters now for about a year, and it's one of the favorite pieces of my job, I have to admit. I don't know why we didn't connect with chapters beforehand, but the new capability model has given us that opportunity, and I don't want it to stop. So if there's any time that you have questions or want us to present on something, please ask. We're happy to connect. But yes, we're here to talk about the capability model. It came out last year, but it really has been a game changer in the way that it's being presented. A lot of what was in it was already in the last ones, but let's go over it. And maybe you've seen some of it. If you've heard some of this before, if you've stumbled on it yourself, you might learn a little something new here at the beginning, but I'm going to kind of go over a couple of things that you may have known already, and then do a little interactive guide to the model and how you can use it yourself, how your teams can use it, what's coming, and then I'm going to finish up today talking about the certifications. Kalpana said that y'all had some interest in that, and so I'm happy to talk about that. So without further ado, let me get started. I think you can see my screen. So let's just talk about the model and what it does and why it's here. We've really been doing these at ATD for a number of years. I think we started in the 40s, I think. 1941 was the first one. This is our 9th iteration, and it's really for something that different professions do in order to define the field, in order to figure out what it is as the times change, as society changes, how they change over time, roles change over time. We do it about every 5 to 7 years to keep pace with the industry. And really for this one, it's the first time we've done it under the banner of ATD. The last time we did it, we were a different organization, named something completely different, but we really wanted to get to those edges of what talent development is. So really defining talent development. It also is helpful for career pathing. A lot of times people come in, especially to this career. I was with the ultrasound professionals before, and really that's not a career you get in really accidentally like you can with talent development. You've heard the accidental trainers or even accidental instructional designers. And so in a lot of cases, people discover this profession and they don't really have a lot of direction. It was not something necessarily that a lot of people started out in college wanting to do. They fell into it and they found their passion. And so really helping with the career pathing, one of the number one questions that used to come in to our customer care line was, I am new to this. How do I learn more? How do I advance? How do I do more? What's my next step? And so this really does help answer that question. And again, like I said, this is the 9th iteration, but I think this is the first time that it's been something that it was not just put up on a wall as a poster, that it's actually something that's living and breathing that people can use. And we also do it because it does align with current best practices in the field. Just to update and to make sure that we're keeping pace We also knew in talking to some of our thought leaders that some of the concepts that had become more commonplace in the field had not been included in the last one. And that's stuff like brain science, technology application, and big data. And so this was our opportunity to really start to include some of that. It ended up being what you see here on the right. It used to be a pentagon shaped that was set on a foundation of foundational competencies. This one is 3 domains broken into 23 different capabilities. You see them listed over on the right. One of the things that we wanted to do when we did this model was to make it a little bit more evergreen. If you've been with us for a little while, you know that every time we publish a model, the design is different. And because this is really the backbone of what we do as a profession and what we do as what ATD does to serve the profession, it's the backbone of everything we do. So the conference sessions, even the website is designed around this, and the certifications are designed around this. So every time we update it, it was almost like upsetting the apple cart all over again, and we'd have to redesign everything. And so in order to make this a little bit more evergreen and a little bit more future focused, we wanted to be able to be a little bit more broadly thinking in what we do. An example of this is also some of the nomenclature I'll get into in just a minute. We changed it a little bit just to be a little bit more forward thinking. So the structure is also such that there's really no hierarchy. In the last one and in some of them, people would really dive into their role base. So if they saw instructional design, for example, they would really dive into that piece of the pie and say, okay, I'm an instructional designer. This is what I need to know. But from the survey, instructional designers were telling us that they needed to know more than just instructional design. And so that's why you see this format here, because you can pick and choose in some cases what you need to know. But also there's a little bit of all of it that everyone needs to know. An example, and I keep picking on instructional designers, sorry. But instructional designers need to know a little bit about impacting organizational capabilities, because even though you may be in your own little world designing this instruction, you need to understand what business factors you're helping to push forward for the organization so that you're fully impacting that. You also need to be future ready to know, not just in your profession, but in the profession that you're serving, what's coming down the pike. So some of that is there. And then even circling back up to the green ones, this personal capabilities. You need to be able to lead your project or be a good project member. You need to be able to work across different departments and be able to work on having good emotional intelligence and decision-making abilities. And then, of course, the commitment to lifelong learning. So it really is a blend. So blending all of these capabilities is what really makes a good talent development professional. So diving in first to the personal capabilities, these are what you think of as the soft skills and things that maybe your parents taught you or you learned early in school. Some of these things that, again, soft skills that have really become more and more important as time has gone by. There was a report out of IBM from 2019. It was the Enterprise Guide to Closing the Skills Gap report that showed how great companies were in upskilling staff on technology, but there really was an issue with companies addressing these soft skills and how the focus needed to be on some of those soft skills so that people were able to work with others. So focusing on communication, collaboration, and teamwork. So many of those are here. So let's see, is there anything that I want to pull out? Yes, cultural awareness and inclusion did appear in the last one as global mindset, but also again, being future focused and being aware that it's not just a global mindset that someone needs to have in order to be effective in your job. There are some cultural things that you needed to know that are not just global related. So some genders, different backgrounds people have, so being able to work across different departments even. The survey respondents felt the same way about this. And so in the survey statements that you'll see, the personal capabilities were rated just as high, if not higher, to have in your toolkit as being able to use Captivate or being able to present training well. And so these were rated just as high as these other things. So again, when you're looking at the teardrop model that I just showed, nothing is more important than the other. I'm going to pause here and see if there's any questions about the personal capabilities. And it's okay. Think of when you think of an instructional designer or a trainer, or if you think of somebody in the talent development field, this is your main toolkit that you're used to having. Added for this one is learning sciences and recognition of the explosion of research into the brain and how it works. Also, you'll see career and leadership development here. And in this case, we're referring to helping others with career ladders, developing leadership skills in others. We've been doing this for years at ATD. We have programming for this, but it's never been really highlighted in a model before. And so we're very happy to have it this time, just again, to bring more prominence to it. One of the other ones that we tried to make more evergreen in naming the nomenclature, you'll see over to about 2 o'clock range is technology application. That was learning technology in the last model. And we wanted to give a nod to the fact that as a talent development professional, it's not just learning technologies that you have to be responsible for knowing and being able to use. It could be a database, it could be video software, it could be this communication thing that we're having to do, Zoom and all the other ones, Teams and Google Meet. I mean, there's so much more than just learning technology that you're responsible for. And so again, being a little bit more evergreen and showing that it's not just that. So these are some of the ones for the professional capabilities. Any questions so far? The last one that I'm going to show you is the impacting organizational capability domain. This is largely new, even though some of these things showed up in the last one, but more so in those foundational competencies. This is also where some of the newer ones are found. So this is more related to the big picture and the systems approach to talent development. Talent strategy and management is found here. That was in the last one, but this is more focused that this is for making sure that organizations can meet the needs and pre-solve future challenges. You can also see consulting and business partnering in this one. And this is not just, as you can think of, as consultants who are out there on their own, but if you think about it, you might be a business partner to other departments in your organization. And so you need to know how to work with them. Let's see what else. But this is, like I said earlier, as an individual contributor, a talent development professional needs to know what they're doing and how it's tied to the business goals of the organization in order to be successful in what they're doing, or in order to get that leg up. You know, if you think you have 2 instructional designers and one is consistently doing their job, but they're not really asking why, or not figuring out how it's connected to those business goals, or asking why. You see those two employees often, and it's that one who's just consistently contributing but not really asking why, and not really getting to that deeper reason for what they're doing. It's that person who is going to advance, that person who's going to hopefully be a manager one day. It's that little bit of spark in them, that again, part of this organizational capability. It's strategic thinking, and also forward thinking. So this is the whole model. What I'm going to show you in just a second is 3 different things. I'm going to explore the model, and then I'm going to show you how to do this self-assessment. And then the last thing is, once you have the self-assessment, you're able to create a personal learning plan for yourself. And this isn't just for people who are new to the field. I'm going to pick on Oliver, but he is a CPTD and every 3 years has to recertify. And so there's also an area here that you can use it to help you plan your recertification professional development and track your recertification professional development. So it really is hopefully meeting the needs of people early career, mid-career, all the way through. So quickly, you may have noticed back in March, ATD National changed its website, td.org, and we updated some things, we changed some things around, but one of the things that we changed was our td.org experience and the My ATD. And so if you have the free account, or if you're a member and you log into td.org with your account credentials, your email address and your password, you'll see a little oval that says My ATD. And that's really kind of your dashboard. The first, I guess, window, I can't remember what it's called. I'm having a little bit of a brain blip right now, but tile, the first tile, that's it, that you see is going to be the capability model. And you can click here where it says View Capability Model to get to the model itself. Or if you're in the process of doing the self-assessment, you can see your progress here. I have stolen Kelly Fenton's, so I don't remember who Kelly is right now. I don't know why I stole hers, but as you can see, she has done the self-assessment in 2 of the domains, but she still needs to do this. But she's already chosen her learning path, and she's already added some things to her learning path. So this is just a good way, kind of a 30,000-foot view. You can also see, maybe if you're taking classes with us, books that you've downloaded. This My ATD is kind of your one-stop shop for everything you've done with ATD. But just wanted to point this out to you, that this is the best way and the quickest way to access the model. I'm going to exit out of this. And now hopefully you're seeing my screen. And this is a sample profile. I'm not going to show you mine. I'm going to show you a sample profile. And this is just exploring. Remember, we're going to do 3 things: explore, self-assessment, and then the learning plan. And the exploring part of it, it's fun. There's so many things that you can do here. You can click on any of these right now and go directly into the domain. Coming down, scrolling down lower, you can see that we have developed some job aids. So there's some down here. And then if you want to go specifically to a capability, I know Kalpana was talking about the training, delivery, and facilitation. So if you wanted to go directly to one, you could also just click here to get to it. So just to kind of show you around, we'll start with personal capabilities. As you see, it turns green, and you can choose any one that you want to go into. I'm going to go to collaboration and leadership just because my mouse was there. We start off with a definition at the top of the page because not all people think of the same thing. So we kind of want to center your brain about what we meant when we came up with this capability and put out skill statements underneath it. And then you can see as you scroll down the 10 or how many ever knowledge and skill statements that were associated with this capability. The definition's really good to have, especially for terms that could mean multiple things, lifelong learning. I know future readiness was one over in this one that we thought was really important to have. So really take a chance, take the opportunity to read the definitions and don't just automatically assume you know what it means. And then read the knowledge and skill statements. This is just the exploration phase. And you're just going through and looking at them. We had said that we would look at training, delivery, and facilitation, and I'm not sure that the actual speaking part of it, skill in facilitating meetings, knowledge of facilitation methods and techniques, skill in creating learning environments, climates, skill in selecting and aligning delivery options, skill in delivering training using multiple delivery options, skill in designing or developing learning assets. So really the act of speaking is not really addressed here. I'm not sure whether that's more we figured would be something Toastmasters might be better at doing. I'm not quite sure why that one's not included. I don't know, but I do agree with you. I have that problem myself. I don't present often, but when I do, my words fly out of my brain, and I try not to say too much, but there it is. David also asked about empathy, so let's go over and see if we can see.
Can I just jump in on the speaking part? There is a communication one here, and I wonder whether it's under communication as opposed to training delivery.
Skill in expressing thoughts, feelings, and ideas in a clear, concise, and compelling manner.
Yeah.
Good thinking, David.
He's certified already.
This is just the exploration part of it. You can also see en masse what learning resources ATD has, and you will see that it is just a plethora of stuff. I would recommend not looking at it at this point because it is just kind of throwing the kitchen sink at you, everything that ATD National has for communication. But you can look, especially if that's what you're needing, if you just need a communication resource. The next thing I want to show you is the self-assessment, and that is that second tab here. You can get to it from this second tab or up here from the upper bar. And I will not warn you, but just point out that at this point, you do need to make sure you have that free td.org account. Whether you're a member, you have a td.org account, but if you are not a member of National, you can get a free account. It's like having a Pinterest account or a library card. It's free, but it just allows you to access it, but also allows you to save, which is very important because as you're going through the self-assessment, what you're doing is you're coming into each of the capabilities, reading the knowledge and skill statement, and then assessing yourself, thinking about what you've done in your work, maybe what you've done volunteer-wise, courses you've taken, what you've studied, your experiences and your knowledge in this particular area. So as you go through each one, you would read it. So for this one, skill in expressing thoughts, feelings, and ideas in a clear, concise, and compelling manner. So for this sample person, she wrote that she was capable. There is a ratings key all the way over here to the side. So if you need a little bit more information about what the ratings mean, 1 through 5, 1 is exploring, where you have no exposure or concept, or you have little knowledge or skill in this area, all the way to expert. You provide expert advice and sound judgments using your knowledge, or you can provide consultation and leadership here. So going through, it takes a little while, and I would recommend maybe scheduling about 30 minutes over the course of 3 days and maybe doing each domain on consecutive days, but going through and rating yourself in each of these. It takes a little time, it is a little tedious, but that's really the way to get this self-assessment done. I do challenge all of you to do it. It's a great thing, and I sound like Martha Stewart there, but I'm getting ready to tell you the great thing about it, but I cannot recommend this enough. A lot of times, just in general, as professionals, we have blinders on. We don't know, we don't think about this stuff. We don't do enough navel gazing because we're so busy doing the work. We don't look and see where we're weak or where we're strong. And so having a framework like this to measure ourselves against is a good thing for many reasons. Individuals, for example, and I'll show you this, what happens after you're finished, you can come over to the My Report tab, and it basically rolls everything up. So across the domains, you can see this person was the strongest in the personal capabilities, which is not something that we are surprised by. I'll show you some global results in just a minute. Personal capability, she ranked at 39, and she was just a little weaker in the organizational capabilities. Scrolling down a little bit more, you can see that it also ranks her top capabilities, what she's the best at, and it shows the whole list. So it also shows her bottom capabilities. And so how this has been used individually is, again, taking the blinders off. For this person, she may know some of these things, but she may not know all of them. She may know she has always had a passion for lifelong learning. One of the ways that I know in talking to chapters is that one of the chapter members from a chapter last fall did this, and she was looking for a job. And so she actually put her top 5 on her resume. It's also a good conversation point for you and your manager, because it also shows where you might need to work. And I wouldn't recommend coming all the way down to the bottom ones automatically, because it may be that you never are coaching. And so it's okay that you're not so great in coaching, but it might be that knowledge management is an area that, because of the role that you're in, you might need to be a little bit better at knowledge management than you are. And so really thinking strategically about it, don't automatically say, oh gosh, these are my worst 5, I need to work on those immediately. Because it may be that coaching is something that in your role, maybe as an individual contributor, you don't have anyone to coach. You're not a manager, you're not, coaching someone in that case. And so as far as the immediate next 6 months, 12 months, coaching is not something you need to work on. And so really thinking about all of this, we have something that's getting ready to come out in May that is an enterprise version of this that companies can get, and they can have their team do the self-assessment so that they can figure out where their teams need to upskill. And as I was talking about before, it's also a good way if you've just been given funding. Let's say you have a team of 10 people and you've just been given funding to hire a new person. It's a good way to figure out how best to complement your team. So if this was an overall aggregate of what your team can do, look down and see what are some things that your team is not as strong on. And you're able to then look for those qualities in someone that you're looking to hire. Also, for the chapter itself, what we can give to your chapter leaders, if you all fill it out, not all of you, but a good portion of you, it can also help the chapter figure out what kind of programming to do for you. Because again, if they're seeing that data and analytics is low, they might want to do some programming on maybe how to tell a story with numbers, or how charts and graphs can be demonstrative in your work as an instructional designer. So these are just some ideas that I'm kind of throwing out willy-nilly. You can also see here your skill ratings. For this test person that I'm showing you, she rated herself 10 different knowledge and skill statements where she knew nothing at all about. Nothing, she's not really an expert in anything. It shows really here that she's a good generalist. 106 out of 188 statements she rated consistently that she knew a little bit about and she could do a little bit about it. So she's a good generalist. She's not really an expert in anything. And if that's her goal, that would be something she might want to work on. So there's some good diagnostic information here. And so this is the second part. I'm going to move over into the last part, which is the learning plan. And this is the newest and sometimes a little bit more confusing. I will admit, and I go on record every time I do this, it's not the most intuitive. But if you click on the My Learning Plan at the top, the first thing that comes up is this tab right here. But if you've never been here before, you really have to start with the path, because you have to pick the destination before you can start moving toward that. And our people fought with our software developers and lost, because our software developers argued that when they came to the learning plan, more often than not, they wanted to see their plan, because they would only come to the path and pick their destination once. And so that's why I pull this out as kind of not being as intuitive as it should be, but you first have to choose a path. And we've got several here. Create your own, and this is where we would point maybe our certificates. If they're going to be recertifying, they would need to create their own path, because everybody's on a different path as far as where their recertification ends. You can also work on getting APTD or CPTD ready by using the model. And you can also look down at the bottom, and we've done some learning paths already. Coach is already built out, trainer has been built out, and the e-learning professional and instructional designer paths have been built out. Unfortunately, we haven't finished the talent development manager role or the HR OD professional role. They're coming soon, hopefully. What we do is we take the aggregate data from that original survey, from people who said that they were a coach or people who said that they were a trainer, and what they rated as the highest, we then move over, and you'll see in just a second, this person chose CPTD ready, that CPTD was her goal, and so she chose the path. And then she started adding resources, which is the middle tab. And so just going into the different capabilities, you can see that she rated herself in technology application, which is this skill is tested on the exam. She rated herself at a 2, but according to CPTDs who answered the survey, they needed to be at a 3. Where that they are able to apply this knowledge or concept in the work or perform the skill consistently. And so you can see that she needs to really go up 1 in this one. In order to do that, she can click on the resources to generally develop this capability, and it will show you all of the ATD resources that can develop technology and application. Now, the neat thing about this is you can filter, and coming in May, it will also give it to her automatically by level. So for example, she said that she was at a 3, I believe. Let me go back all the way up. Sorry. She said she was at a 2. And so what the new thing in May will show is it will only show resources that will get her to a 3, or that would help someone get to a 3. You can also, let me click there again. You can also click by resource type. So let's say you've got a Friday afternoon free, your lunch date canceled on you, and you know you've got a spare hour tomorrow. And so you can go in and see what video ATD might have. And of course, they don't have anything there. Publications, what publications here are available? And so you can see there are publications here. If an article, you want to see what articles are here. There was an article in TD Magazine about the ethical implications of artificial intelligence. She can add that to her plan. You can also add your own resources, or you can add chapter resources here. You can see that she's added 2 things. Funny enough, the CPTD prep course was not part of the resources to generally develop this. And she's also going to be taking a LinkedIn learning course, telling stories with data. And so you can add your own resources. It doesn't have to just be ATD resources, and you can add them down here, resource title and the resource URL. And then once that happens, you can see that it all rolls up to, she has 3 things in her queue. She can move things out of her queue as her schedule or her resources allow. And then you can see when she completes something, it then puts it up here as completed. And if you are recertifying, you can come back and add these in so that you keep a record of what you've done. So this is the learning plan. I'm going to switch back and show a little bit more about the insights.
So, Holly, I have a question.
Sure.
On that, what you just said, right, as you're building your plan.
Just to show you some insights across the global behind the scenes, and there are some privacy things, so we don't, for groups smaller than 10, we don't give information. That's why I'm asking the entire chapter to do it, just so that your chapter gets as much information as possible. But across the globe, across the thing, over 9,000 people have gone in from every region in the world and done the self-assessment since it was launched last year. That's huge, 9,000 people. That's more people than responded to the survey. Across the board, the average proficiency score is 50.5%. And across the board, those 9,000 people are best at personal capabilities. That's why I said it was no surprise that that sample person was better at the personal capabilities than the other 2. And you see that they kind of fall, that after personal capabilities, it's professional, and then impacting organizational capabilities usually draws up the rear. It's one of the reasons we think this is because it's some of the newer things or some of the things that are more strategic that people maybe in individual contributor roles haven't realized that they might need to pay attention to. So again, these are stretching goals. These are the top 5 capabilities globally. Lifelong learning is not a surprise to us because we know that you as a talent developer have a passion for this. So it's not a surprise that this is the #1 capability. And you can see that how the others shake out: training, delivery, and facilitation, communication, emotional intelligence, and decision-making, and project management. And then the bottom ones, the bottom ones, career and leadership development. Again, remember, this is about developing others. Technology application is next, talent strategy and management, change management, and data and analytics. One of the things with talent strategy and management, it is one of the largest capability areas with 16 knowledge and skill statements that essentially is 3 buckets. It's aligning talent strategy and organizational strategy and tying talent development to the achieved organizational goals. It's also making a case for talent development within the organization, which is not something you normally think of, but the leaders of talent development need to in order to get that seat at the table. It's also more HR related tasks related to recruitment, retention, compensation, and rewards, which a lot of times you don't think about. So increasing your knowledge in this area can increase your overall strategic approach. And again, data and analytics is low, 35.9%. For me, that's why I didn't show you mine. I didn't want you to see mine, but data and analytics, I am terrible in. I've always been bad at math. And I admire those in my organization who are able to paint pictures and tell stories with data. I tell this story a lot, but I know that in your own organization, it's the same thing, that I can't go to my boss or even Tony with an idea that I'd like to do for change in the organization with him or my boss not saying, okay, what's the data on that? Why do you want to make that decision? Why should we change? And so I feel like even at ATD, some of our resources, we need to do more in helping y'all with data and analytics. And so look forward to seeing some of that coming. We realize that that's a need. So that's coming. So learning focused on you. Now that we've identified the gaps, how do we close them? And so ATD research and our annual reports, we show that 83% of organizations use some type of personalized learning. And the highest performing organizations are those that invest in learning for their staff. And we feel that the new interactive model can help you start to close those knowledge and skill gaps. Again, it's a way to measure what you know and are able to do against a framework. I don't know how many people I talked to before from the old model told me that they had the poster on the wall, which was wonderful. They had the poster on the wall, but that was as far as it went. They didn't really do much more than that. And so this new model, the interactivity of it, you can actually live and breathe in it. You can use it. You can apply it to yourself. You can apply it to teams. There's so much more you can do with it. So create a personalized learning plan. So again, complete the self-assessment, develop a learning plan, and then consider the APTD or CPTD. These changed, like I said, everything, the backbone of ATD changed when we did the model. Again, I'm going to pick on Oliver, but Oliver used to be an APTD. He did the pilot of the APTD way back when. And when this changed, he became a CPTD under the new one. And so he knows a little bit about this and might be able to talk to you a little bit about it. But we do have 2 certifications. We have the associate level one that is at 3 years of experience. And the CPLP that you used to know of, we changed the name largely because of the research that we did with the model and seeing that CPLP, those letters stood for Certified Professional in Learning and Performance. We saw that it was not just learning and performance that you were responsible for. And so owing to the full picture of what a talent development professional can do, we changed the name. And so that starts at 5 years of experience. In talking to our subject matter experts in revamping all of this, we also added a professional development part of it. So for the associate level certification, you need to have at least 28 hours within the last 3 years. Thinking about that, dividing it out, it's not that much. It sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot for 60 hours. That 60 hours has to come within the last 5 years. And the exams are different too. What we do is we look at the entire capability model with groups of certified professionals, APTDs in one room and CPTDs in the other room. And we ask, okay, at that 3-year mark, what should someone be able to know and do based on this model? And so for some of them, some of the more strategic things are not appearing on the associate level exam because it's at that 3-year mark. Think about a new professional in your organization and what they're able to do at that 3-year mark. So it really does test there. It's kind of a knowledge and an application at that 3-year mark. The 5-year mark, you've got a little bit more tenure, you've got a little bit more experience. And so there's more application, and it does focus a little bit more on those organizational capabilities. The content of the exam is a little bit different and how it's tested. The APTD exam is straight multiple choice. It's 115 multiple choice questions, and you have 2 hours to do it. And you can see the capability breakdown there. The CPTD exam is a little bit more challenging. And Oliver didn't smile or wink or anything there, but the CPTD exam is a little bit more challenging. It's 90 multiple choice questions, and then there's this new case management question, which is our attempt to mimic real life. It sets out a case. It sets out a story of something that's going on, and it asks you to follow through maybe 3 or 4 different steps to answer the question. It's multi-step, and so you're not able to go back and change your answer from the first one, because even in real life, you're not able to change. You know, you come in on Monday, your boss gives you a job, and Tuesday, you may make the wrong mistake. You can't go back and change what you did. So it's kind of mimicking real life. But you do have to do it in 3 hours. The exam is 3 hours because it is a little bit bigger, but we do give you an optional 10-minute break in the middle, in between the multiple choice questions and the case management questions. Number one, to give you a break to stand up and rest, but also to kind of give your brain a break in between the 2 types of questions. How to test. The pandemic brought on many new things, and if we were sitting here 2 years ago and you said, would ATD ever offer remote proctoring, I would have laughed. But because of the pandemic, we had to offer remote proctoring because people couldn't leave their homes, and it has been a godsend. So many people love it. We will keep it forever. It has been really, we had some bumps at first. Pearson VUE was also rolling out new things at the same time because of the pandemic, and so we had some bumps at first, but you can test right at home in the privacy of your home or your home office, or you can go to a Pearson VUE test center. You can choose your exam date. The APTD is given in odd numbered months. The CPTD is given in even numbered months. You get a 90-day window, but it includes that blackout. So what we did, because life gets in the way, it used to be that you were only authorized for 1 month at a time, but we've actually given you 2 months. So we've given you like February and April. We're hoping you'll schedule in February, and that way if you get sick or your boss hands you a job that you're not quite sure how to handle, life gets in the way, then you're able to, without any cost or anything, you can automatically transfer over to April if you need to. So we try to give you that little bit of flexibility with a little bit longer time. And applications are due at least 30 days before the testing begins. I know I'm running out of time. These are some reasons for earning the ATD credential. We do surveys after the exam is over, and this is what people have told us why they're getting it. Number one reason is indicating professional growth. 84% of the survey respondents feel that having the credential has helped them keep pace in the industry. How to prepare, start with a handbook. They're on our website. It has everything to do with our policies, how it works. There's also a gap analysis in it so that you can look at the actual content outline and rate yourself against it. Make a study plan. Set your date for your exam so you know you're going to take the exam in December. And so walk back from it. For the APTD and CPTD, it's anywhere from 60 to 140 hours and more of prep for it. But really use the study planning guide. We also have courses. We have some prep courses. And then if I've not answered your question, I am going to be sending these slides after this. So I think the chapter is going to be distributing it so that you can click on these links. But if you have questions about the model itself afterwards, if you're like me, I think about it about 10 minutes after my opportunity to ask, you can email these 2 email addresses. But we're so excited. When we released it, we were excited because we knew we had something good on our hands. But what we've seen from the community, your excitement has just bounced back and forth between us and y'all. So I hope that you have found good in this. And if you have any questions, I'm open to them now.